All right. Um, welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's wait a few seconds. Few seconds. All right. Today I'm talking about something I shared on Twitter yesterday, and then I had different opinions, different people talk like, "Hey, what you said is wrong," or "What you said is not right," this and that. Talking about recommendation letters, reference letters. So I mentioned the fact that if if uh, if your recommendation letter carries the to whom it may concern that it's a red flag, and no people came different argument. Oh, it's not so. Some said I've used it all my life. Some said blah blah. So many opinions. So I felt there's a need to really address the question of recommendation letters. Um, what should your recommendation letter contain? Who should write it for you? We'll go to the basic, and this won't be long, maybe 30 minutes, we should be done. And then I will take questions on recommendation letters, how you can go about it. And then the special Nigerian perspective, I will put that into consideration. All right. First and foremost, you should know that recommendation letters are or recommendation letter is a very important document in your application. It's very, very, very important. Recommendation letters are very important. So, no, I saw someone say under the comment, someone said that if I'm good, they don't need to have recommendation letters. They don't need to have his recommendation letters and the like. That if they don't pick him, that's their loss because he had a bad recommendation letter. I want to say that recommendation letters are some of the things that make you competitive. I think I shared that tweet and then I retweeted what the guy said and I quoted it and made this statement that recommendation letters make you competitive. Now, recommendation letter is about what people are saying about you, what a professor that you have worked with, a doctor, whoever, a researcher you have worked with, is actually saying about you. Okay, and that carries a lot because now you have said a lot of things about yourself in your SOP, and of course, everyone will say good thing about themselves, right? But they want to see what another. They want to see another person who they believe is credible talk about you. Okay, and that's why some of the things they do, even when you have recommenders write for you, they want to look at the profile of the person writing for you. They won't tell you that they have done a Google search to look for the person writing for you, but they would have done it. They have done it. Okay, they want to see where is the person affiliated, where is the person affiliated with, which school is the person affiliated with, what does the person do, what does the person know in this research. Okay, so it's very, very, very important. Deadening that idea that recommendation letters are just there. They are not just there, they are very important aspect of your application. Okay, so they really want to know the person, they really want to be sure that this person saying, imagine, let's take for example, let's say I want to enter into sports now, and then I've I made the application, I've done some things, and then see Ronaldo comes and say, "Hey, this is Samuel. He's a great guy. I played with him in Juventus. Samuel, he does this and that." And so Ronaldo is saying those good stuff about me. They will believe him. Those guys will take me and say, "Ah, so Ronaldo is saying this good about this guy." So it's very, very important. Now, let's talk about who to write the recommendation for you. Who should write recommendation for you? Is it your professor? Is it your teacher? Is it your someone? Is it a family member? Or who should write it for you? Please note that recommendation letter is for the person to attest to your strength in a particular area in which you're applying for. No, I've had people come to ask me questions like, "Oh, I've left school for like 5 years, for like 10 years, but where I'm working, For example, someone who is doing pharmacy, someone say, "Oh, I studied pharmacy while on campus, but I've left pharmacy. I'm working in a bank now. I've been doing bank work for like 2, 3, 4, 5 years." And the person say, "Can I have my bank manager write recommendation for me?" The next question I will ask you is, are you applying for banking and finance, or for something related to banking? If the answer is no, then the person cannot write it for you. For example, you have been working in the banking sector. If you're applying to your same pharmacy, you need people in that line to write it for you. Or someone will say, I don't know any professor in my department, but my dad's friend is in education. Can the dad friend write it for me? No, except you're applying to education. Okay, because you need these people who will attest to your strength. Now, as I'm saying this, please note that nothing is absolute too. Okay, there will be exceptions. There will be very many exceptions. There are many exceptions to statements of facts. So, uh, the person writing recommendation for you should be able to attest to your strength in that regard. And someone who is in education, for example, cannot talk about your strength in pharmacy, because the person does not have the standing to do that. The person does not have the what do you call it now, the qualifications to be able to do that. Okay, so you need those who are in the same field with you. That's in quote now, because that differs too. You can have people who are in slightly different field that is still related to yours, who you actually work with. Okay, so you need people in the field related to yours, or field with yours, to be able to say something about you. Now, you need them to also be able to talk about the relationship you guys had. Okay, for example, if you worked with a professor in school and you assisted in some things research wise, you want the professor to talk about it. If you held the leadership position and the professor was involved or whatever, even if the professor was not involved, for example, if you did politics in school, for example, now, um, you can have your professor talk about those leadership posts you held in school. Okay, they can talk about it. Okay, for example, if you are in physics department and you were, for example, I was general secretary during my time. I think I asked my recommenders to write the fact that I held leadership positions while I was in school. So they can include those things. They can actually include those things. So you want them to talk about things you did together. If you took their course, a relevant course, okay, you want them to be able to talk about it and how well you did in that course. You want them to be able to talk about it. If the person is your supervisor, you would have worked with your supervisor for a long time, right? So the supervisor should be able to go into detail. uh, yes, this you can always check this video later, Collins. It's live, it's being recorded. Okay, so you can always ask them to write about, in fact, not just ask them, they will know to write about the relationship you guys had together while you were working with her or him, or as the case may be. Okay, so they can write about things you did together, the research work you did. Now, even if you assisted some colleagues in doing their research, they can write about it. If those colleagues if they have a different advisor who is also part of the department, you can approach that advisor to write for you and to talk about the fact that you helped a student in doing XYZ. Now, must the person always be a professor? In Nigeria, there's a way you categorize um, assistant lecturer, lecturer two, lecturer one, senior lecturer, then reader, and blah blah blah. So must the person be a professor? No, it's not compulsory. The person is a full professor. In fact, during my time, I had assistant lecturers write recommendation letters for me because I applied to a lot of schools. So I cannot afford to have professors keep on writing for me. So I had to mix it. Some schools professors, assistant lecturer, lecturer one, some schools I mixed it. It doesn't really matter. What is written for you is much more important than the person writing it. The only thing important about the person writing it is the credibility. Okay, can we verify that this person is actually who he says he is? Is he actually into this field? Does this person actually has the standing to be able to talk for this person in this field? I'll give you an example. One of my friends, I don't know, I always talk about him during these sessions. So he applied to many schools, and then he was asking me then that should this person is not a professor, is not a doctor. This person, I think the person was still working on his PhD then too, but they did research work together. The person is like a senior colleague. They did research work together. Okay, I think the person was already lecturing in a private university in Nigeria, but came to UI to do some research work. And then, of course, with this, my friend, they did some research work together. But he wasn't a doctor. It wasn't even from the same UI where he finished from. I said, can this person write for me? And I said, yes. You guys work together. This guy saw your strength. He knows he can talk about you. Okay. Even though he didn't have a PhD, this guy wrote for my friend. Okay. Why? Because they actually worked together. And the guy was actually an assistant lecturer in the private university there, if I remember correctly. And then he wrote for my friend, beautiful recommendation. Of course, they had the rapport. My friend will even tell him of things that he can uh, actually write and all those stuff. Okay, things, good things which he can write about him, good things that he believes he has, which the other guy can testify to. Okay, and he wrote for him. So don't get fixated on this fact that the person writing for me must be a professor, must be a full professor, the person must be an emeritus professor, the person must be whatever. No, don't get fixated on that. Go with the fact that so far this person is credible, we can verify that this person has a standing to talk about you. Okay. Um, then the person can write. Okay. And of course, you have to go to people who actually know you, not those who will scratch their head to write and they'll just write, he's a good boy. That brings us to what should you write? Okay. And I will address this with the question of should we do to whom it may concern and all those stuff. Now, many people got me wrong when I was talking about the issue of to whom it may concern. Now, when you write a recommendation with the heading to whom it may concern, that is not the actual problem. The actual problem would be in the content. Because when you write to whom it may concern, you are you are hoping that you'll be able to use it for multiple applications or multiple job application, school application, whatever application. You're just saying it's something general. This person is talking, the recommender has spoken about you in a general form. And then uh, you can use it anywhere. All right. That's what the concept of to whom it may concern is. Like you want to ask about this guy to whom it may concern. I can talk about him and then the right things about him. Now, to the best that can be written in a to whom it may concern is a general recommendation. For example, there will be no you do. Let me tell you about what a strong recommendation should have. A strong recommendation letter should be able to talk about your strengths in relation to what you are applying for. You talk about your strength, for example, if you have programming skills, let's say you know how to do C++ and the likes, and then you have done it before with your professor, you have done some simulations or whatever with your professor or your advisor, advisor can write it in relation to what you're applying for if that skill will be required there. Okay. Yes, SOP will address it, but you have a third party saying what this guy is saying is true. That's what recommendation actually is. Like you are recommending someone, you are saying, I can vouch for this guy. Okay. So they'll be able to write your strength, right according to your strength and match it with what you're applying for. For example, if you're applying to, let's say, biochemistry, your professor will be able to say that I am sure that he will excel in your biochemistry program. Because when I taught him biochemistry 101 or 102, he had the highest whatever in my course. He was one of the top 2% in my course, in my class. Okay, so we'll be able to match it. Now, if you're applying for biology, let's say in another school, you're applying for biology, the professor will be able to match that. I'm convinced that he will be able to do well in the biology program because he did so. Okay, so to whom it may concern, a general letter will just address things generally. The person, for example, in the general letter, you won't be able to say that it's applying to your biochemistry program in so university, because it's general. You are expecting the person to use it again and again. So you can't address the specific program, you can't address the specific university, and you can't even address the specific strain. There are some strain that may be listed that you probably don't need. What most of whom I've seen, they just address is hardworking. Yes, everyone can say that. Is easygoing. He works in a team well. He know what you want to use that for in research. Okay, but a specific one will be able to address the fact that you have this strength and you are applying to this school. This is what you need, and then this is what you need. This is telling the school this is what you need, and this guy is the right match for you. It's whom it may concern will not address. Of course, people can write to whom it may concern beautifully well, but uh, it won't really address each school specifically. It won't address each school specifically. So, and that comes down to how to get your professors to write for you, how to get your lecturers to write for you. I tell you, each school will send their own. US schools, for example, they will send emails to your professors, and there will be a link there where your professor will have to follow through, either type in stuff for you or upload a recommendation letter for you. That's what most US schools do. Okay, it will be sent, the email will be sent to the professor, to your lecturer, and the lecturer will have to do it himself, do all those application for you, send, upload the application, I mean, the recommendation letter for you. Okay, so in that situation, that means your professor will have to do it himself, and it's not even you that will be uploading the recommendation letter. I know some people have that mindset that they'll be the one to recommend to upload the recommendation letter when they are doing the application. No, okay. Each of your professors will be sent a message. Of course, maybe some universities do that anyway, but generally in the US, each of your professor will get an email prompting them to write to upload recommendation letter for you. And of course, it's good for you to be on a letterheaded paper, maybe the departmental letterheaded paper, or okay, I'll come to questions. So it's different from letter-headed paper. I mean, did I say different? It's good to write those recommendation letter on letter-headed paper. It gives credibility to the letter. It shows that, yeah, this is something standard. Now, don't give your family members letters to write for you. Don't put their emails there. Okay, and don't put one email that you have access to and you say, oh, I will just go and upload something and do something. They will get, because they want to know the credibility of the person writing, and if the person does not exist, then you are shooting yourself in the foot. Okay, it's very, very important. So what should they write for you? Number one, they should explain the capacity they are to you. They should explain what do they represent to you. Are they just a lecturer to you? Are they supervisors? Are they whatever they are to you? They should write it. It should be included in the letter. Um, they can include a duration with which you guys work together. Now, see, strong recommendation letters are actually letters that are actually personal. Let them write it, let them relate it personally to you. I will try and find some recommendation letters I drafted then. Maybe I'll share some of those things on Twitter, some of those recommendation letters. I'll just make a screenshot. It is not for people to copy and say, oh, you must write. It's just to have an idea of what it looks like or what it should look like. They should be able to relate it to you. They should be able to, if they taught you, they should be able to tell the community that they taught you for so number of years. They should mention you by name, not just saying, mentioning by you by name shows a level of relationship. That's what those guys want to see. That's what the admission committee want to see. Okay, so they should mention the fact that they taught you, they mention the fact that you did well in their exam or whatever, you are the top 10% in their course. If you actually did research with them, they should be able to mention the research that was done, where it was done, for so what duration, mention your contribution. If you had a special contribution to that research, for example, if you analyzed a particular section. They should be able to mention the fact that you have analyzed a particular section of the research work, or you coordinated, if you coordinated a team to do research, they should be able to mention the fact that you coordinated a team. They should mention those specific things you did. That is what makes a strong recommendation letter. Not some general words like it's easygoing, it's polite, it does not get angry or whatever, is hardworking, is those are general. Those are general. A strong recommendation letter will go into the specifics. Specifics. Okay, so I've addressed the question of who, I've addressed the question of how it should be written, and then I think I've addressed the question of I think I put three three stuff there. Now the question is, how do you? I think this person is asking that same question now. When you have so many schools, how do you get your recommenders to write? Success is asking. One of my referees told me that I can't write a recommendation for all the schools that I'm applying. That there are many. Applying to 13 schools in the USA. Okay, I love you first and foremost. 13 schools, but you can't give it to just one person to write. That's why you should try to get into relationship with as many people, as many professors as possible. I think I was counting the professors that wrote recommendation letters for me recently. I think I had like seven of my lecturers writing recommendation letters for me. Like seven. I'll just take this person should rewrite two schools, this person will write two schools. My advisor, I think, wrote three or four schools. Another person two schools, two schools. I just did that permutation and combination because they are busy too, and those recommendation letters can be tasking. Okay. Now, can they submit the same recommendation letter with modifications? Okay, they can submit the same thing, write the same thing, but they will make it specific to the program. For example, if a program is called biological sciences in a school and it is called biomedical sciences in another school, then your lecturer, your professor will have to edit that part and say this is for biomedical science in University of so. Edit that part, edit the program name, edit the university name. So they should be able to do that. Okay, so basically, it will still be the same details about you, okay, but they are just modifying it to the specific program you are applying for. They're just modifying it. So if you're applying to a lot of schools like Success, you're applying to 13 schools, you cannot ask one professor to write all that for you. Let the person just write two or three, okay? Get other people to write two or three, other people to write two or three. That's one thing to do. And that's why if you are still in school, I know some many people will still be watching this video later on. If you are still in school, become a friend of your lecturers, become a friend of your professors. It's for your own benefit. Trust me. It's for your own benefit. The more of them you have as friends, the more people can write recommendation letters for you. Okay. If you take all of them as enemies, okay, nobody will write recommendation letters for you. So one of the things I have said it over and over. One of the things I did in Nigeria was to send them messages every month just to greet them, just to create an opportunity to talk, an opportunity to bond, to form a rapport. When I pass by their office, get in, greet them, say hi to them when I see them, greet them, talk with them a bit before leaving. Just creating that opportunity, just creating that opportunity. Okay, when they make a presentation, when they do something well, something beautiful, send a message to them. Oh, yeah, that was a beautiful presentation in class today, or that was a good teaching in class today. If they teach you a particular topic and then you found that topic that they really treated it well today, write something to them, send them a message that, sir, your class today was awesome. You taught it beautifully well. I understood XYZ. They, they are human beings. They want to see you. They love, everyone loves being appreciated. For example, if you tell me that, oh, I appreciate your work, what you do on YouTube, what you do on this and that, and I see it, I'll be happy to, like, yeah, I can do more. And by that, I already know your name. Someone on Twitter just was just, she's probably, yeah, probably on this live too. I'll just see before, within 1-2 minutes, someone has shared my tweet. Within 1-2 minutes, I post something again, the person has shared it, same person, retweeting it. I'm like, who is this person? Like, this person caught my attention. And then we met in DM, exchanged pleasantries, talk. And I told that person, said, Whenever you have anything, just send the message straight away. She just got my attention. I mean, just doing little things, little things. So you can get the attention of your professors that same way. They will not forget you. They will not forget you. Okay, how should the letter of motivation? We are talking about letter of recommendation, not motivation. But I can talk a bit about motivation letter, statement of purpose, wherever. But if we are talking about how should letter of recommendation be started, the person can start by saying, I write to recommend so for this position of so in your institution. Then you start talking. Then you start writing a lot, all other things about that. But if you're talking about motivation letter, SOP, I'll come to that. But basically, you want to start from your problem statement or how you came to become interested in that field. Okay. So get your lecturers, get your advisors, to your professors, your lecturers, get them to know you, to like you. Okay, you'll be the one needing all those things eventually. It's what you need eventually. It's not food is getting my attention here. Sorry, guys. So you will get them to like you, to know you, and when you go to them for recommendation, even though it's stressful, when you go to them for recommendation letter, even though it's stressful, they will know that no, I'm doing it for Collins. I mean, I cannot. Let me just try. Okay. So get them to like you, relate with them, send them. Yeah, I used to send them monthly messages every new month. I send them happy new month message. I send
Daddy, the bus is yellow.
Is yellow?
Yes, the bus is yellow.
Oh yeah, yellow bus. Yeah, yellow bus. All right.
Beep beep.
So get them to like you, get them to do all those things, and then you will see them that the more you have, the better it is. The more of these professors, these lecturers you have by your side, the better it is. Okay, so let me start answering some of the questions here. If you have a question, just drop it and we answer the question. All right, so you're saying you want to know if it's possible to get scholarship without English language proficiency. Yes, very possible. There are very many schools waiving English proficiency for those coming from English speaking country. I'm not sure which country you are from. If you are from Nigeria, but this I'm not sure this name. I don't know. I don't know which country you are from. But if you are from Nigeria, for example, should I call it national language now? Official language is English language. Okay, so many schools waive English proficiency for Nigerians. Some schools don't waive. Some of us are fighting it. We are asking the school to waive it for Nigerians. Some schools don't waive it, so you can actually have it waived for you. You can write to the school to waive for you if you have been taught in English all your life. If you the language of medium of instruction, if the medium of instruction in your school is English language, you can write them to those school you're applying to and let them know that you've been taught in English all your life and they should waive the English language for you. So Shina Paul, you're asking, is SOP the same thing as essay? Because the school I'm applying to requested me to write an essay. Okay, first thing is when they ask you to write an essay, it may be SOP, it may not be. It depends on what the school is actually saying. So is there an instruction on how to write it? Are there points they want you to address? Many schools, when they say essay and they want to address some points, it's just the same thing as SOP. Some schools just now, one other thing that many schools are requesting is what we call writing sample, where they just want to see what you have written before. Not necessarily SOP. It's probably different from SOP. Essay basic should be SOP, okay? But some schools now are requesting for what we call writing sample. So this essay may also be referring to that. So you need to ask what they are referring to. Writing sample is basically just a sample of your writing, whatever you have written before. They want to see that as a graduate student, you should be able to write. So they want to see an example of what you have written before. Of course, an SOP is an example, but you can also write about your research. For example, I remember when I was looking at South Africa, then a professor asked me to send a writing sample, sort of. Okay. And I wrote about my research work for my master's research work. I wrote like a summary, like 1 or 2 pages of my master's research work and sent it to him. So that's an example of an of a writing sample. Essay basically can be the same thing as SOP. Okay, especially if, there, if there's no SOP and then there's essay, then that means basically they're asking you to write an SOP. Okay, so success, you're saying one of your referees told you that I can't write the recommendation letter for all the schools that you're applying to, that there are many. You apply to 13 schools in the US. So yeah, that's why I'm saying change, have a lot of people writing for you, change them. And if you have actually applied success, if you have actually applied to 13 schools and you have his name on those 13 schools, I think there's an opportunity for you to change your referees in many applications. You can always change your referee. So they will block the link they send to the first person and then put a new link for the other person writing for you, for the new person you are putting in. Okay. So there is that opportunity. You can make use of that. But if that does not work, if the school does not have um, that allowance, you can we have to beg him and beg him and beg him to write for you. Okay. But of course, many schools, I think almost all applications have the allowance whereby you can change those who have written recommendation letter for you. You can even add others. So I know those schools have those opportunities. If you can't find it yourself, send a message to the school. Let them create a window of opportunity for you to be able to do that. All right, Shina, your second question is that you presently work outside Nigeria and you can't contact lecturers for now. Can I use my supervisor at work for my letter of recommendation? If your work is related to what you're applying to or what you're applying for, yes, you can, but you can't use all professional guys to do an academic thing. It will be at least you have at least two of your lecturers. You should have at least two of your lecturers writing for you. Okay. And that will require you having to either send them an email first and requesting for an audience with them. Okay, calling them, all those stuff. I did that while I was in Nigeria, even because I wasn't in school all the time. So sometimes I had to send them an email and ask them, tell them I want to call them, and then I request for a time and I call them and we talk and all those stuff. So some of them they may not even require you to come down. Okay, to just be about calling them to speak with them. Okay, so you can use your supervisor if it's related to your work, but you cannot use all work related um, recommenders in your application. You have to mix it. Okay, you have to mix it. Get people from school. So maybe one or two lecturers write for you, then one other person. If the school requests for two, you can use one from work and one from school, from your alma mater. Okay. If there are three, you can make it 2-1, but it's usually preferable to have them more from school because this you're applying for an academic program. If it's a professional program that you're applying for, yeah, that may work. Having most of them from the professional field, that may work. Okay, so I've addressed your question, Queen. You said how should the letter of motivation be started? So success was not easy for you to get even these three referees because I'm running the distance learning program in UI. We do not have much contact with. So success. Are you saying all your referees are from UI? You are running the distance learning program from UI. I don't get that. You, you don't meet physically in UI with lecturers. Okay, so that's the program. Okay. Uh, if you have attended any other school before too, you can use them. But if not, you have to just beg these lecturers. You can make it if you are in Ibadan, you can make it a work for you to just go and see the professor in person and explain the situation to the professor. Okay, you can do that. Uh, and if you can still try and try and try to get more professors to work for you, it will be very, very, very good. Okay. So McLean, we're saying, is it advisable to get a letter of recommendation from two superiors at your workplace in addition to a professor you did research with? Yes, you can. Though even though I would have loved it to be the other way around, one from workplace, two from your school. Even though that's what I would have loved. That's what I would have preferred. But again, not, you see, at the beginning I said there are exceptions. Everything I say here, there will be exceptions to it. Okay, some schools may understand some things and all this stuff and make some things pass. But if worst come to worst, and you just must have a third person, why not just get it from your place of work if worst comes to worst? Even though it would have been preferable to have two from your alma mater, from your former school, and one from your place of work, from your superior. Oh, success, you're saying regards to Nat. Okay, I will say, I will extend your regards to him. Should you waive your right to view recommendation letter? Oh, I forgot to mention that. Please, many professors prefer that you waive your right to view the recommendation letter. So, Ayodeji, thank you for that question. Very good question. Please waive the right. It's usually good. Waive the right. So it won't be like you're trying to pry into the privacy of the professors who have written recommendation letters for you. Waive the right to view the recommendation letter. I mean, there's nothing really that you actually want to view there, especially when they will still communicate with you about things to write and all those stuff. So please waive the right. Yeah, just have faith. Even if you didn't waive the right, they would have submitted it before you see it. So you can that can checking what they wrote for you cannot change anything. Okay, but I think many professors love students waiving the right to view the recommendation letter. Okay, many professors. You can also discuss with the professor, with the person writing the recommendation for you, if the person will love you to waive the right or not. I remember during my time, I had a discussion like that with one of those writing recommendations from me from UI in Nigeria then, and then he explained that he preferred me to actually waive the right to view the recommendation letter, even though I knew what he wrote for me. I mean, I was there, I knew everything he wrote for me and all those stuff. He still wanted me to waive the right. Okay, so it's a good thing if you waive the right. Okay, so Shino, you are still explaining the school loan requested for one letter of recommendation plus you're applying for supply chain management and you presently work as logistics and inventory officer as part of supply chain management. Okay, so Shino, you are now asking, um, can you use your supervisor? Okay, and the school requested is requesting for one. I think you should message the school. I think it should be possible. That looks more like a professional stuff, if I'm correct. Send the message to the school if you can just use that your advisor, your supervisor at work. Okay, send the message to the school. If you send the message to the school, they should be able to confirm. But I think you should be able to, because it's very related to what you are doing. So I think you should be able to use the person. But send a message to the school you're applying to be actually sure that they actually accept that. I mean, they should. They should. Remember I said the credibility of the person writing for you is what's important. And the person is in the same field as you are. So they should, and you have worked together, they should be able to accept the person. I don't think that should be a problem. I don't think that should be. All right. There's no more question. I think I can end this live session here. So thank you for joining in, guys. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. Don't run away. Subscribe. Okay. Don't run away. Subscribe to this channel. Like the video. If you have not liked it, like it. It will. Your likes will make it appear on. Will make it more visible. Let me use that word. Okay. So others can watch the video and see it too. All right. Okay, success, you're saying I waive the right for all my referees, then return to prayer. Okay, so good. You waived it. All right. So Shinopo, all the way from Mustard Seed. Oh, okay. That's beautiful. Hit me up on Twitter. Let's see. Let me know your face very well. It will be good to see your face well. All right. See you guys later. Thank you so much for joining the live stream. Love you guys. God bless you.